Welcome back, everyone. 2 weeks off. Now we're ready for another episode of Gold Horns and Fight Songs. We were off last week because of, I guess, a pretty decent reason. Wes welcomed a new baby girl into the world, and she is absolutely adorable. So, Western has a new hockey fan uh, that is ready and raring to go.
The plan is to get her to the game Friday. We'll see how long we end up staying. We've got her baby headphones here now. They came in. Um, we're doing some practice work with those, making sure that she is indeed good to go. And we'll at least get her for some of the game. Hopefully she'll stay for the whole thing. I mean, between nap times and feeding, it's up in the air as to what we're actually capable of doing with her at the moment. But for a week and a half old, can't really complain.
Yeah, I mean they should roll out the red carpet for you though, and do some special treatment and uh just because a week and a half old in your first hockey game, that's pretty good.
I mean,
Well,
if
she'll be about 2 weeks old roughly
yeah,
at
she'll
that
be,
point.
she'll be almost 2 weeks old. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to her. We watched our first hockey game on TV, so that was exciting.
How much of it did she stay awake for?
5 minutes, and then she was asleep. So
Hey, if it goes to 10 minutes on Friday, it's progress.
I really just need her to be asleep for Friday, because then she'll stay there longer. It's her being awake and like fighting with the headphones and everything else that'll make us leave early. So let's not do that. But no, super excited that she's here. Baby and mama are doing fine. They're doing great. And it's just learning how to be a parent, which at this point is really just making sure the bottle gets in her mouth and the poopy diapers get changed on time.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a great job, and I think I've told you this before, but everybody who knows you knows you're gonna be a great dad, and so far you haven't proved us wrong. So that's a good thing. Keep going.
Baby's still alive, so we're winning. All right, yeah, let's jump into we're gonna go over last week and this week. One, because we weren't here last week, and two, the schedule has been pretty light the last couple weeks. This being the last weekend of bye weeks, so everyone's got 6 games left, 3 more weekends of regular season. It is a mess as far as the standings go.
Yes, it is. And I
And
I will say I was really hoping you weren't gonna go over last week's games. I just did not want to relive that, but
eh,
we need to.
and the playoff picture, is getting a little bit clear, but not really. It is still pretty blurry as to who's going to have home ice and who's not. There's a 3-way tie for second. Denver's really kind of got a lock in on first place. I don't know if they've exactly clinched home ice yet, because there are still 18 points available. Um, but the way their schedule is looking, I mean, they've got a pretty uh what's the word I'm looking for here?
Favorable.
Favorable, yeah, a pretty favorable schedule as it gets into the last few weeks. Western's got a pretty favorable schedule as well. Those two teams will meet in a couple weeks, so that could potentially be a roadblock for either one of them as far as where their final seeding is. Um, St. Cloud and Omaha, they've still got quite a few games against some tougher opponents in there. St. Cloud's got at least one more series against Duluth. I don't know if you've played either of your series yet, to be honest, though. I think you get
I
the
think we
last
played
week.
one.
You get the last week of the season against them, and maybe you played one a couple weeks ago against them. I'm not sure. Don't exactly remember.
Pretty sure we did. I'm looking.
I don't have all of the schedules memorized. All right. But I know Western's got Colorado College, Denver, and Miami left. Miami and Colorado College have been struggling a little bit. Colorado more recently. Miami all season long. So that kind of helps. But again, we do have the Denver series, which is on home ice and should be a pretty good series. But we'll get to that during that week when it comes up.
And it looks like we're only playing St. Cloud once this year.
Oh, that's weird. No, you should have played them twice. They're your constant in. They're your constant rival that you always play twice.
I know, that's why I'm very confused looking at the schedule.
I think you just don't know how to read.
Well, this is also true. We've established this.
Making me look stuff up. I don't want
Oh,
to.
yep, there it is in January.
Okay, so you have
Yeah,
played
just a
them
couple
once.
weeks ago. Oh yeah, that's right, because we actually did sweep them up in Duluth. That's right.
What?
I'm an idiot because they were the number one team in the nation, and we
Oh yeah,
swept them.
yeah. Yep, that makes. I remember now. I mean, they're not my team, so I don't 100% pay attention to all the things that happen. I try my best to pay attention to some of them.
Oh, and I just have the attention span of a gnat, so I forget things most of the time right after I hear them or see them.
But either way, it's been a great season so far. It'll continue to be a great season. I think first thing first, though, we should point out that last night there was a shooting here in the state of Michigan, over on the campus of Michigan State University. I believe 3 people were killed, 5 were injured. The entire Michigan community is coming together to support that university. We want to throw our hat into that ring as well and let everyone know that we do support Michigan State in their time of need. Um, my DMs are always open if there is anybody who feels the need to talk about anything. I do have a personal experience of gun violence and PTSD, that may be helpful to someone going through something they weren't expecting to. So please feel free to reach out in that regard. Um, our thoughts and prayers to the families of those not only injured, or not only uh, fatally injured, but those injured that will make it, that will pull through. And it's another senseless act that everyone's going to argue, is going to miss the point of, and they're going to argue other things, when really the point is, for at least the next couple of days, it should be to cherish your loved ones, think about things, make sure you say I love you, give somebody a hug. You never know how the day is going to turn out. So um, those are the opening thoughts of the show, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's actually the first time hearing of it. I was um, in BFE, in the of middle of a lake. I could see Canada on a couple sides, but yeah, ugh, that sucks. And we may rip on Michigan State for sports or whatever, but at the end of the day, everybody's gonna rip on other fans when it's times of need. We're here, and mind you, if anybody needs to talk about things, I'm a pretty good listener, just not to Wes. I don't listen to when he talks, but for other things, we're here to support anybody that needs it. If they stumble across us and want to talk, I'd like to think we're both pretty good guys, and I know Wes has helped me through some things, and Wes has talked to me about some things. So it's anybody that needs it, we're here for you. We're open and willing to listen and talk.
Yeah. Until then, if you so choose to make sports something that brings you guys together, it's a big deal for me to talk about sports and hockey in general. So we're gonna jump into the hockey talk, and we'll start off with the single game of Denver versus Colorado College from February 4th. They did not play that Friday. The Friday game was the week before in the newly renamed Bell Arena. This time they were at Ed Robeson Arena in Colorado Springs. It was a Tigers home game. I think the result was kind of what we expected it to be, a Denver win, 4-1. However, that one for Colorado College was a sick
That
penalty
that's just that's
penalty
not
shot
right.
goal. Hunter McCown absolutely undressed Corona,
It
ending the Denver and Corona shutout streak over Colorado College. But that was the only one that they put on the board, and it was a hell of a one too. So
Yeah, that just was not. even as a goalie, you can't be mad about that. Like, you're upset, but at the same time, I don't think any goalie in the world was going to stop that shot.
No.
That just was not. He should have been arrested after that because that was Corona was looking for his jock strap and his glove and all his pet. They were just scattered throughout the rink. It was a yard sale for what he was trying to find out.
I believe I said that goal was so filthy there wasn't a Tide Pod strong enough to get that off.
Yes, you did.
And I will stand by that. It was filthy. But the gold pan stays with Denver once again. I believe this is the fourth consecutive winning of that trophy. It is, what is it, the second longest running rivalry in college hockey, I believe is what they said. Or, no, that was, yes, no. Denver, North Dakota is just behind Denver, Colorado College for Denver's longest running rivalries, I believe is what it
Okay,
was. But they
which
may
that
also
would
be
make
some
sense.
of the longer running rivalries in college hockey too. So, yes, lots of history for the Denver Colorado College series as well as the Denver UND series that we will talk about later in the episode as we get into just last week. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know that there's really too much to say about that game. The Tigers played okay, and Berko kind of maybe not as strong as we've seen him play, but that's going to happen when you're going up against a team like Denver that is a perennial championship team. They're always in the hunt. They're always making the tournament, and that team, where while it may not be the team that we saw last season, it's still a team that definitely has an opportunity to win the championship again here.
And I think what you saw was something that Colorado College has been a little bit of a surprise because they don't have quite the depth. And that's they've been riding in Berco for most of the season, but now their depth is showing up. They have a stud power play. Hunter McCown, he's a very, very good player, but they don't have that many pieces around him and the depth. So you play a team like a Denver who is very deep, you're going to run into some trouble. And um, if they're playing a disciplined game and not going to the box, well, then you got to be able to score 5-on-5 in Colorado College. That's not necessarily their strength. It's their goaltending and their power play. And I hope Umberco stays at least one more year and they have some good recruits coming in. Maybe he stays 2 more years. Then they can really build around him and then they're going to be challenging for the Penrose.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of talent in the crease there with Umberco playing. They're a different team with Umberco playing,
Hmm.
but their skaters are kind of a. They've got to figure out how to play 5-on-5, and they've got to learn to play a little more consistently than they have been. But I mean,
Yeah,
again,
they
they're a little bit higher than I think we normally see them. They're sixth right now. They've kind of gotten away from that. I mean, they're still in that bottom
I mean
ish.
they're tied with us
Yeah, I
in
mean, there's a
points.
lot of
So
ties. So
so they're technically sixth, but could be fifth, sixth. So they're right there. They're probably not going to get a home playoff series, but
I'll
they
say
have a
this:
chance to upset people.
they're not going to be an easy out in the playoffs this year,
No.
for sure. Um, it will be one of those things where I don't necessarily know that I want to play them. They've come into loss in stolen games that Western thought they were supposed to win in the playoffs, so I'm will not be terribly excited to see them. I mean, I will from the aspect that I'm going to get a good game, but
Hmm.
they're not going to be an easy out by any stretch of the imagination, and it's going to be tough to beat that goaltender. And we'll get to see
Yeah,
them here in a
it
couple
really is.
weeks in Colorado. So I'd really not like to see them that frequently and give them any opportunity to have locked anything down. So
You don't want to do like last year where UMD played St. Cloud State and then had to go back the next weekend for best of three.
no, because we saw how that worked out for St. Cloud. And honestly, there's an opportunity that we could get that St. Cloud Duluth matchup again in the playoffs.
There is.
There's an unhappy
And
baby
I
somewhere.
I would probably go back up there and watch it again because that was one hell of a time.
Let's see. Moving on to, I think a little bit of a surprise from last weekend though was Miami taking St. Cloud State to the shootout in back-to-back nights.
Yeah, that I don't wonder. Something's happened with St. Cloud since they reached that number one ranking. They've just not been good. They just haven't.
No, I mean
Um,
they got swept by you guys. They struggle against Miami. Um, Honestly, that first game, there's no reason that first game should go to a freaking 10th round in the shootout. If Miami had one more skater or scorer other than Red Savage, they have an opportunity to win that. I mean, the Bassie was literally not did not have much to do as far as stopping these shootout attempts. Um, and I don't know why St. Cloud decided to wait until the 10th round to use Micah Miller. The kid led the league last year in essentially breakaways and shorthanded goals. Make that dude like one of your top three shooters in the shootout. There's no reason why you're hanging on to that dude. Win it early.
and that's something that you had messaged me and the group. It just it
I think I even
the
tweeted,
kid is
why the hell
good.
is that dude
Yeah, you did.
late?
Micah Miller, he's
I
so
unplugged my
good.
headphones. Hang on. Okay, go ahead.
Micah Miller is so good one on one with the goaltender. It's just his thing. He he has a lot better chance to score than actually be stopped. I'm curious what his percentages are, but yeah, why are you? I don't know. That's a mistake by Coach Larson, I think, to not put him. He should be one of the first three shooters.
I mean, they learned from their mistake because in game two, he shoots first, scores, and then Cronulla is their second shooter, and they win it in the first two shooters because Bassie makes two saves.
I
Also, also the other thing that St. Cloud needs to do is they need to figure out that ice. Like the zone that they shoot at twice is just awful. And that was the reason why Pearson was able to make so many saves because half their shooters lost control of the puck that first game. I don't know what the hell they're doing in that end of the ice, but they're not
because
helping
that's
themselves. That's also the end where the net
yeah
consistently comes off the moorings.
yeah. I don't
Their
I don't know
ice
what they're doing.
their ice has to be as good in that end as the ice for the Chicago Wolves of the AHL, where they're just shooting fire and melting the
Yeah,
ice right in front of the net they're going to shoot on to start the game. Brilliant.
it I just and you would think that they would have it when it's the Herb Brooks National. Like, for the love of God,
I don't
get it
know.
together.
I didn't actually watch the game Saturday, so I don't know if the ice was any better. I'm assuming or it was just the skill of the two shooters. But yeah, dude, half the pucks were just rolling off of guys' sticks, and that's part of the reason why it went 10 rounds. Was just no one could control the puck.
I don't know what they're doing there, and I've just I've never been a big fan of that arena in general. It's it's nice enough because it's close and I can go watch UMD play that's closer than going up to Duluth, but not a huge fan of that arena. And it just you walk in there and you just think to yourself, this ice probably kind of sucks.
I mean, it's one of
And it
the.
does.
I think it's the last, I know it's one of the last Olympic-sized ice sheets in college hockey.
Hmm.
Um, Most of them, I think, Colorado College was playing on Olympic ice at the where they moved from.
Hmm.
So they're on standard NHL size ice. Don't know. I really want to say it's the last one, and I because I can't remember anyone else playing. Maybe one of the Alaskas plays on Olympic sheets, but outside of that, I'm not entirely sure if anyone else still playing on it.
Let's see. I am doing a little bit of research
Yeah, we do it during the show instead of before then.
because we think of things in the middle. Okay, it looks like Mariucci Arena or 3M Arena at Mariucci is I think that one is also
Is that
Olympic sized.
Minnesota?
Yes, Minnesota,
Okay.
University of Minnesota. It is Olympic sized.
Fucking weirdos. Um, but yeah, no, that
But
was
it's one of the
that.
very few.
Honestly, that game was pretty well played. Both of them were, and that's kind of a game where you would expect St. Cloud to just kind of run away with, because, like I said, there's not a lot of offensive. When you think of Miami, you're not thinking of, other than outside of Red Savage, you're not thinking a high-powered offense who's gonna put a lot of pressure on your goaltender. I'm not saying they can't score, just saying that
Mhm,
they don't have that. Like if I think Minnesota Duluth, and I know
mhm.
I have to worry about James, um, for James for one, Kaiser on the defensive side. Like there's guys I can name.
Mhm.
You know, you think Denver, you've got Carter Mazer, you've got who's their other kid that was lighting it up this weekend. Like
Oh,
there's definitely more specific names that you can come to. I mean, if I say Western, I can name the whole fucking team of Western, so that's really not going to help me any. But there's
yeah,
guys
you
on.
know way too much about them. They social security numbers and everything like that.
Let's not go that far, all right? Um, but like, there's not a lot of names that come to mind outside of Red Savage. You have Red Savage and you have
Mhm,
Ludwig Pearson in net, and Pearson can sometimes struggle because he doesn't have a team in front of him to bail him out. So really, I mean, unless we're just seeing some kind of weird slide from St. Cloud State where they weren't able to play defense like they should have, those games were a little bit surprising, and they were low scoring contests too. It wasn't like teams were
mhm.
just bucketing shots.
Yeah, 1-1 and 3-3. I mean, you can't get much lower scoring than 1-1.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously 1-0 or 0-0, but you only got two options there. Um, yeah, I think this weekend coming up is going to be it's going to be more of a telltale sign. Okay, is St. Cloud really struggling now, or was that just a blip on the radar, and are they going to come back just as strong as they had been when they got to the number one ranking in the country?
And that weekend's most voted, as in what people were trying to watch that weekend, was of course the Western Michigan at UMD series. I believe you went to the Saturday game.
I did go to the Saturday game.
The Friday game was on CBS Sports Network, and it was probably one of the better games that they've gotten to see lately.
Hmm.
Western kind of played pretty good hockey there. They got out early, scoring in the first game with a shorthanded goal from Jason Poland, his 24th of the season.
And then we tied it off,
The
just a
luckiest bounce I have
terrible,
ever seen. Dude,
just terrible.
Cameron Rowe has the worst luck when that dude is playing well. He got
Like,
robbed on that one. Okay, I mean, the goal at the end of the game, which we'll get to, was way better. But that should have been a 1-0 game until the end of the freaking game. And he had to play during the Michigan Tech game of the GLI that robbed him of a shutout. He should have had a shutout against freaking Michigan Tech, and just the puck got under his feet and he pretty much scored on himself. And it was just like,
mhm.
oh, come on, you're playing so well. This sucks. I feel so bad for you. The puck goes off of the glass, hits him in the back of the head, and goes in the net. Like, are you kidding me?
It it just made me laugh, and you know, I feel bad for him, and it's just one of those goals where you're just like, honestly, dude, I
Just saying, he has the worst luck when he's playing incredible
we
goaltending.
we should not have tied that game. We just shouldn't have. I'll
Western
take
did
it, but yeah.
Western did have a little bit of trouble controlling the puck. They were overpassing. Uh, you guys were getting in the way of some passes, intercepting a lot. It was pretty much it was a pretty good back and forth game. Uh, in the second, we get another big time goal from Luke Granger, who loves big time goals. This time on the power play, and he just ripped it past Stayskull for the second goal of the game. But I mean, Friday was really just a back and forth game. Western controlled the puck pretty well after. I think it was like maybe midway through the second period. They cleaned up their game a little bit
Hmm.
and kind of dominated, but weren't getting a lot of clean shots on net. And Cameron Rowe was playing strong. I mean, it took all the way until literally the final minute, and you guys would push back here and there, but it wasn't really until you had that extra attacker that it really benefited you guys. And Minnesota
Right.
Duluth made a great play with the extra attacker out, cycling the puck, getting it from the corner, and ripping a shot with guys in front, and there was a guy just wide open to put the rebound in. And honestly, you can't say anything but a great play by UMG to tie that game up. Now, should they have been in a position to tie the game? Maybe not, because it was a lucky bounce. But either way, if the team gets a bounce, you still got to play the rest of that game, and
Hmm.
so they capitalized when they needed to. They played hard. Overtime was freaking great.
Yeah, it was.
Both teams got chances. Max Sasson makes that play in the defensive zone to lift the stick of your guys, your player, and take it straight
Can't
back
remember who
down
it was.
the ice. They do a little bit of cycling in the offensive zone, and he gets the puck back, takes a shot. It's saved by Stayskull. He stays with it, and I think there's even a moment where I think he's trying to center it back from behind the net. It hits the side of the net, but it gets to a spot where it's almost perfect for him to pick it up on the backhand and kind of like backhand lacrosse goals it almost. Like, I'm not saying like it was a legit lacrosse goal,
Hmm.
but he brings the puck back out with him just enough and then backhands it past Dayskull for the game winner in overtime. And it was a pretty goal, but it was really just the fact that he stayed with the play, never gave up on it, and was able to beat Stayskull for that third goal and pick up the full pairwise win points, even though it's only 2 points as far as the NCHC is concerned.
Yeah. I mean, and it was just a really great game. And then Saturday's game, well,
Why'd you guys change goalies?
I don't know.
Stayskull's played so well Friday night.
I I I
I don't know
I, I,
why you'd switch
I
to
don't know.
Thiessen. I mean, maybe if Stayskull was hurt or didn't want to play, like couldn't go on Saturday. But it felt to me like that was just kind of a scheduled switch, and I think you stay with the guy who played well. Stayskull played
Yeah,
well
that you
enough
went
to
to
win that
overtime.
game.
Yeah.
Granted, a
I
lucky bounce is part of the reason, but he kept a team that normally scores four goals a game. He kept us to three, and one of those was an
hmm
overtime goal.
Yeah. And
Anytime you keep a team to two in reg, like you give yourself a chance to win.
yeah, exactly. And that yeah, I don't know why they made that change. Um, but regardless, I don't think it would have made a difference on Saturday. Uh
No, Ezrin was playing really, really good
Western
Saturday.
just
I was watching that from the delivery room.
it was yeah, because
I mean, we opened up the
we were
scoring.
we were
We opened up
messaging
the
and
scoring with a little bit of the old beer league play, that flip to Hillebrand coming down the middle on a breakaway on his own, and just beautiful goal.
yeah, and I think the killer was
I mean, Thiessen makes some
when it
great saves
was
early because Western had some opportunities early there. I think
oh,
you
he
guys took a couple
did.
of quick penalties. You kill them both off. Thiessen. Oh no, I'm sorry. The first goal was that it was after the both penalty kills, and Western got in the offensive zone. There's I don't know if he was a trailer. There's someone who sort of takes Thiessen's eyes away, and they make. I think it's Granger makes a great pass across, and Hillebrand's kind of alone and puts an empty net with Thiessen diving
Y-
back across, and he just barely
Yeah,
misses the
just
opportunity to get back there. I think Hillebrand had a breakaway here the last time they played here. Is what I was mistaken the two goals between.
yeah, and then I think it was I'm trying to remember. It was to make it I think it was the second goal.
The shorthanded
Um
by Galambos, the second shorthanded goal that Minnesota Duluth gave up on the weekend, third of the season to the Broncos.
yeah, it might have been actually Hillebrand's goal. There's somebody like wide open in the slot, and I'm like, Well, that's not a good thing to do. That you don't want them wide open in the slot. Basically, anybody on this
That
team.
might have been Columbus's, but Columbus
It
had the
might have been
shorthanded goal,
Columbus.
and then you guys get one. And during the replay that they showed 45 times, this was an EASHL game on NHL 23. Everyone would be screaming, "Hit A, please!" Western goes ahead and scores off the faceoff as
9 seconds.
Granger wins the puck past the defenseman, gets behind everybody, and beats Thiessen with a little backhand forehand move.
It was he did not have I had a great angle for that goal. There was not a lot of room
No,
on Thiesen's left skate. I mean, there was about enough room to get that puck in,
he found
and
it.
that was it.
Oh yeah, no, it was a great play. But
And that was after we did have so we had a goal waved off, and then we did score to tie it, or I mean to cut it to one, and then we gave up that, and we were both texting 100% should
he
not that goal that was waved off should not have counted.
no, no.
It was clearly goalie interference. It was
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah, no.
that was a good call. But no, if you were watching from on NCHC TV, you only got to see a replay of the goal. You didn't see the goal scored in real time because Minnesota Duluth wanted to show their replay 45 times.
We were just excited we scored.
And then Hillebrand gets his second of the game, an empty netter that he throws on net from about just inside, I think, his own blue line. I don't think he even made it to the red line, but was just trying to clear the puck out as everyone from Minnesota Duluth was collapsing on him.
Ah!
He hits the back of the net. So 4-1 Western win on Saturday. They take 5 of 6 on the weekend. I think that we split earlier in the season.
Yes, it
Was
was
it
a
a full
split because
split
we
or no? You won in overtime the first game,
Friday overtime
so you got the overtime
Saturday.
win.
You
So
guys,
two. So you guys got 3 points, and we got 9, 10, 9. No, because we had 4. It was 4-2 that weekend points wise. So yeah, 9. We got 9, and you got
mhm.
3 on the season series.
And I will say it was my parents hadn't been to Amsoil Arena. We had talked about going to UMD game. They had wanted to go potentially New Year's Eve for the St. Thomas exhibition game, and I go, hey, Western Michigan's coming. Let's go watch an actual good team play UMD. And I think they enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell out of watching the game and being there. It's just a little weird that I have seen uh, the team that I don't know, however many hours and however many miles away play more this year live than the team that is an hour and 45 minutes up the road.
I mean, you've only seen them play one more game because you watched
I know, but it's
both of
still
them
more.
play
It's still
in one
more.
game.
I still
Da,
have
da,
seen
da.
Western play more than I've seen UMD play live.
All right, so do we want to go UND Denver or CC Omaha?
Boy. I want to say UND Denver first.
That one was, I think, the better of the two series, barely. Um, I mean, I guess score wise, the CC Omaha game were closer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can go Denver, North Dakota. Friday's game was the CBS Sports Network game. Decent game. I mean, I think Denver did what we expected them to do with the struggle that UND has been on this year.
Mm-hmm.
And really, I mean, a lot of that has to do with they've just been an inconsistent team. They from in every aspect. They don't play. Maybe the only thing that they've done consistently is freaking pick up game misconducts.
That's Clevin. Um,
Not only Clevin, I mean, he had,
well,
but they had
he just has
one.
the most.
Yeah, but they had one in the Saturday game. What was it? It was, let's see. I mean, Denver takes an not Denver. North Dakota takes an early penalty, which North Dakota played the kill incredibly well. I don't even know that they gave up a shot on that first penalty.
I don't think they did, because this is the one game I did watch on Friday.
But then I mean, so they played the PK well. They absolutely just did not try and help out DeRitter whatsoever with that turnover in their own zone that led to probably one of the easier goals that Thompson's ever going to score in his life. And then you just see Denver just turn it up from there.
And North Dakota, they just kept. It seemed like they were constantly going to the penalty box, and they just did not help DeRitter at all. And then when they finally pulled DeRitter after, I think it was the fourth goal, it was more of a. I
Hey,
think it was more of a mercy pull where it's not his fault. It's just like, dude,
we need the rest of the team to wake up, and this is how we tell them to do so.
yeah, it's more of a. This is not your fault. The team's just really sucking right now, and I don't want you to bear the brunt of it because you're making saves, and the ones that you're letting in, it's not your fault at all. The team just can't do anything in front of you.
I mean,
Um,
it was a close game for a second. North Dakota gets one past Corona after Denver misplays the puck. He kind of gets a little 5-hole squeaker, I think it was.
yeah, that was the one. Krona, it went through, and then he knocked it in with his right leg.
Yeah.
Because I think it was a 2-on-1. Yeah, it was a 2-on-1.
And, you know, they both take penalties. There's a 4-on-4 for a little bit. Denver takes another penalty, so it's 4-on-3 for North Dakota for a little bit. They can't score there. Mazer makes an incredible play that they reviewed for offside, but it was a good goal. He uses the D to screen to Ritter. I mean, just an incredible shot by Mazer. So it's 2-1 after the first period, and then Frisch scores to make it 2-2. Pretty, I mean, within the first 5 minutes of the second period. What is, you know, you say the first five, last five, the most important
Mm-hmm.
minutes of a period. So I mean, they got the goal when they needed to, but then Colorado College or Denver comes back and scores 2 goals 14 seconds apart. I think all three goals were scored like 19 seconds. It took for both teams to score 3 goals. And it's immediately 4-2, and from that point it's almost like, what is North Dakota really going to do? How do they really respond? Cuz it seemed to let the entire air out of that team.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, there
then,
is just nothing.
I mean, it was a
And
big physical game, and then Bros takes the 5-minute major for checking from behind, which does not help uh, whatsoever. Was that the? Oh, that was the Denver major. Yeah, because they got one on the during their major penalty to make it 4-3.
there were 15 penalties called
Dude,
in that game.
there were 5 in the first period, and Mazer gets his second of the night while he's like pretty much falling down to make it 5-3, and that's how it stays for the rest of Friday's game. As physical as Friday was, you thought Saturday was going to be just as physical, and it did not start out that way. Like, both teams kind of tightened it up. They were playing a much different game until they decided that all hell was going to break loose.
Yeah,
With a little scrum behind the net that resulted in Haynes getting the 5 in the game, and then I believe they killed that one off. Or no, Denver scores 5 seconds into that. but then they took a slash, so it's 4-on-4. So they lose 2 minutes of the 5 on uh, the major power play, but it's okay because Clevin takes another one, his fourth game misconduct of the year. He sits out next Friday's game, and Denver scores twice on that one. So you're thinking, okay, it's going to be
22 penalties in Saturday's game.
Oh yeah, literally on a game that kind of started out a little slow.
Yeah, 14-20. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 penalties. And I mean, it is kind of funny though when you see in the box score 5-minute major for slew footing.
Yep.
And I love the term slew foot, but the fact that it actually was called just kind of makes me laugh.
But yeah, I mean, North Dakota played pretty well, 5-on-5. Denver scores 4-on-4 to make it 4-1. North Dakota has a great individual effort to make it 4-2. On the kid coming out of the box, he stops in front of Corona, spins back around, and buries it on him 5-hole. It was a pretty good goal, and that's about the only thing that went right for North Dakota on the weekend. And then another defensive error by UND leads to another Denver goal, and they win Saturday 5-2. And so I mean, they capitalized when they needed to, but it was also a lot of North Dakota shooting themselves in the foot, and I don't know. We haven't really seen a North Dakota team play this way, at least that I can remember.
Not that I can remember either.
I don't know if that's because they've got a lot of these guys who they're really relying hard on transfer talent, so you're not getting. So they haven't grown up in the North Dakota way, so to speak, and they're adjusting to that style of coaching or that style of game, and it's just not producing the results they want, or the inconsistency of having guys on the ice.
And I do think it's weird how much they're relying on the transfer portal now, because it's not like Coach Barry is now in his fourth year and can't recruit because fourth or fifth year, because the guys that Hackstall brought in are now gone. He's been there long enough, and he's won a national championship as a coach. It's not, they've always been on top. I don't know what's going on with them this year. I did want to bring up, I saw something that was really funny on Twitter. Bruce Siski, the UMD radio announcer, was talking about Clevin getting suspended. And I don't know, this is the most undisciplined North Dakota team I've ever seen. Yeah. With how many misconduct penalties they're getting, and not saying that UMD is a little better, but somebody tried to defend Clevin and they're like, well, sorry, he's 6 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier. I'm like,
bro,
he launched him. He was off his skates when he hit him in the head.
And does he okay, cool. Austin Rushev was 6'7" and didn't have 7 game misconducts in 2 seasons.
Yeah,
granted, he got called for a lot of incidental contacts to the head because he was 6'7", which means he's probably like 7 foot in skates.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
like 6'10". Okay, he probably wasn't 6 and didn't add like an extra 5 inches with skates on, but still, he was taller than everybody else on the ice, but he didn't take as many game misconduct penalties as Clevin has taken. He's taken 7 in the last 2 seasons. This is his second automatic suspension this year.
Yep.
His 3rd overall, and his 4th in the last 2 years.
And it's one thing where, like you said, incidental contact. I mean, even Derek Bugard, I saw him get a penalty one time. I mean, he was a massive man. He hit a Calgary Flames player while the dude's head was at his elbow level. Like, he didn't put it up. He didn't try to intentionally elbow him. Clevin launched himself. And I don't know how you can defend that, but North Dakota fans, they their team can do no wrong and they have no self-awareness and they're going to defend their players, which, great, good for you. Clevin needs to get more than just the automatic suspension at this point. He needs something's got to change in his game. And he's a very talented player. I don't know why he's doing this, but
But I mean, and it's, you can't even say like, oh, it's just because he's bigger than them. One of those suspensions is for cross-checking Jason Poland in the mouth.
yeah,
That's not a play where you're like, oh, I accidentally hit you because I'm bigger than you. No, he looked at him square in the face and went, eat stick, bitch.
yeah, it's like
And was
where the
ejected
person's
for it.
mouth is.
Yeah.
Like where the head is. It doesn't. So I did want to bring that up just because I saw that on as a response to Bruce's tweet and I'm like, dear God.
And even so, like
Like,
that's still not even the worst of their consistency issues. I mean, he's consistently out of games, and
yeah.
he's one of your top defensemen. So yeah, that's gonna hurt. But bro, they have 6 players that have played every game this season. They've had 2 players miss only 2 games. They've had 5 players miss at least 3 games. Like
That's
they don't have a consistent lineup. They haven't had a consistent lineup all year. It's why they're at the bottom of the rankings. Because you want to know who the only team that's worse than them? Miami. They've had 4 play. Miami's had 4 players play every game this season, and you
yeah, I
wonder why
mean,
they're at the bottom of the standings.
you look at North Dakota. Okay, 6 players. How many players are on the ice at a single time? But
5.
you didn't count the goalies in this,
Nope, it's
but
just
there are
skaters.
6 players. There are 5 skaters and 1 goalie. 6 skaters. That's basically your whole
One line,
first unit, and then you know
an extra forward or an
your
extra.
second defenseman or whatever.
Yeah,
You are down. You've only have one unit. That your first power play unit has played the whole season. That's it. You can't build continuity when nobody's on the ice building chemistry. They don't know how each other plays because it's like, all right, they're walking in every day. Oh, who am I going to play with tonight? We'll see. Who's suspended, who's hurt, who's whatever. They just don't know.
and the top teams in the league. So Denver, 14 players have played either all of their games or missed one series. They've had 10 play every game, 4 miss one complete series, and Western Michigan is one of the others with the most consistent lineup, having 12 players play all 30 of their games and 4 play 29 of their games. So 14 total have played 29 or more of their games.
And
And
I
that's almost a full roster.
I do understand that there are some guys that missed a little bit with the World Juniors for different teams or whatever. But it's not that many. It's some teams
No, I mean
the teams
Colorado
that have more they'll have like
Colorado
3 or
College I
4
think
gone.
had 2 in
Yeah.
Emberco and maybe one other. Maybe McCown went. Maybe.
I think
Miami
the
Miami had 1. North Dakota had 1 or 2. I think
yeah.
Minnesota Duluth might have had 1.
I don't think we had anybody actually.
But I mean,
St. Cloud had Peart and I think one other. So they had 1 or 2. Oh, well, I know they had 1, but they might have had 2. But yeah, it's not like
but either way, when over 50% of your team is playing less than 25% of your games or something, like guys, like I get it, guys get in games here and there, but at the same time, you have to have a consistent. You're not putting in a consistent effort if you're not in the lineup consistently. Like that's
mhm.
a lot of these lineups are based on how you perform in practice. So it clearly means you're not practicing consistently. You're not getting in the lineup consistently. Your team doesn't have chemistry consistently. And the teams at the bottom of the rankings have the most games missed. Like the teams at the top of the ranking have the most consistent lineups night in and night out.
And I'm really happy that you did that work and just kind of like thought to look that up because that's a point that I've never thought about where how many guys are playing, because I'm so used to, you hear certain names following one team or whatever, and it's like, okay, yeah, so Wyatt Kaiser's gonna be on defense, Ben Steves is on this line, Dominic James is here, Quinn Olson, da 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 da.
Yeah.
You hear certain names and you don't think about the others, but it'd be frustrating as a fan to watch these teams right now too, because you don't know who the hell is on the ice.
Yeah.
You just don't. On
Well, I
and
mean, you hear it in the NHL when they get close to playoff pushes, like, oh, which team has the most man games missed? And it's the
mhm,
teams that are struggling to get into the playoffs, whether that's because it's injuries or, I think they only count injuries as man games missed. But you start looking at guys who are healthy scratches because they're not putting in the effort outside of game day, or they're not contributing on game day, which takes away time. Like all these things matter, and the teams that are the most consistent have put in the most consistent results. We see it at every
mhm.
level of the game.
Yeah, you have to be able to build that chemistry and have that magic on the ice, because you know who's going to be out there with you. You know their tendencies, and if you don't know, um, because hockey is such a fluid game, where you can you come off a power play, you come off a penalty kill. You're not necessarily with your line mates, but if you've played with your teammates enough, you know their tendencies and where they're going to be and how you play with each other. And if you don't know who's in the lineup, well, you might think this guy's going to be on the half wall for a pass, and then he's not there, and you go and
And
fire it over there.
that passes in the potentially in your net,
Hmm.
108, 200 feet the other direction because you passed it right to the opponent's stick, expecting your guy to be there, and he's just not there because you haven't played with him in 3 weeks.
Exactly.
So the last series on the weekend was CC Omaha. Pretty good games, honestly. Both went to overtime. Some back and forth stuff. A couple last minute heroics to get them to overtime. I think Colorado scores late. I think both of their goals in game one to force overtime, and it was another. Again, we talk about all the time. Colorado College do not put them on the power play. Hunter McCown is too dangerous. He showed it in game one, tying the game up late to force extra hockey. Colorado College looked so uncomfortable in the first minute and a half of 3-on-3 that it was ridiculous. Uh, Somehow they get awarded a penalty shot, which is an unsuccessful attempt. They end up creating a penalty, I think, on the next puck drop, which gives Omaha the opportunity to operate on the power play, and they score 3 seconds in to the 4-on-3 power play in overtime, giving them the game one win. And then the next night, it's kind of the same thing. It's Colorado College has to come back late. Somehow they're able to do it. They get they get the extra attacker out there. They score with 16.8 seconds left to tie the game. It's looked at for potential offsides, ruled a good goal, and this time they end up getting the winner in OT. So let's split on the weekend there between those two teams. Each team gets 3 points. It gives us a 3-way tie for second place in the standings. We got Denver in first with 41 points, Michigan, St. Cloud, and Omaha all sitting at 33 points in second place. Duluth, Colorado College in fifth with 23. North Dakota in seventh with 21, and Miami and lonely in eighth place with only 9
Dear
points.
God. I just
Those, those,
oh
those poor,
I cry every
poor
time I see that.
Ohioan bastards. Not only do they have to live in Ohio, but they're in last place.
And it's not that they're in last place. They are
In last place.
in last place. They're way back there.
Um,
The
so
train has left the station 2 hours ago.
we got a couple weeks worth of players of the week. Both weekends kind of slim pickings, really.
Mhm.
Just because of scheduling for January 30th through February 5th, which is really February 3rd and 4th were the games played. Western takes a majority of the awards, picking up forward of the week with Chad Hillebrand, defenseman of the week Zach Galambos for his second time this year. Let me double check. I think so. I see another one there. Yes, his second time of the year. Rookie of the week is Max Dolkovic from Miami. And goaltender of the week, 1, 2, 3, for the fourth time this season, Western Michigan's Cameron Rowe. And then this last weekend, again, slim pickings. I believe there was, oh no, they did it this way instead, because I was going to say there's 2 goalies on the list, but they were not co-goalies of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Forward of the week from Denver, Massimo Rizzo. Incredible name. Denver has some great hockey names.
They really do.
Like, I know it's not how you recruit players, but they do a great job of recruiting players with great hockey names.
And it's one of those things where they're going to be a little more memorable. Like, if you have a great name and you're a pretty darn good player, you're going to be remembered. It's not like John Smith.
Yeah.
Oh, woohoo.
Defenseman Sean Behrens. I believe he went to Team USA for World Juniors.
I think he did too. I think that's the name we were trying to think of.
Rookie of the week is goaltender Simon Latkozy, who played against goaltender of the week, Caden Emberko. So, potentially could have flipped those either way around and wouldn't really have mattered with rookie of the week and goaltender of the week. I think they were trying to get them both on there, but there wasn't another rookie who stood out, so they did it that way. And okay, cool. I mean, there was only 2 series, so
yeah, I think this week will be a little bit better as far as getting some players of the week.
A little more to choose from here.
Yeah.
The week that is February 17th and 18th. We'll go east. We'll go start time. Yeah. Colorado College comes to Western Michigan on Friday and Saturday. Western swept the series in Colorado last time. The way Colorado is playing, they've struggled a little bit. They've played here and there. I think we know the keys to the game. Stay out of the box if you're Western Michigan. If on the off chance you do end up drawing a penalty, watch out for Hunter McCown, Laba, and Yoon. Those are all 3 big names for Colorado College, but Hunter McCown is especially deadly on the power play. If you're Western Michigan, do what you do. We've scored 4 or more goals, I think, in like over 20 games this season. It's honestly easier to figure out how many games we haven't scored 20 in or 4 goals in than it is to figure out the number of games we have scored 4 goals.
And I think just keep up the defensive pressure. That's the one thing that I've been impressed by both times that I've watched Western play live is how quickly
the transition
they get the puck back. They lose it immediately. We're getting it back.
Back and out.
Killed UMD last weekend. Just absolutely, we'd get the puck and boom, it all of a sudden it was back on a Broncos stick. Didn't matter who it was. Yeah. So I think that's going to be the key for them. Just keep playing.
Yeah, get the transition game going early. Get shots on Emberko. If you are getting sustained offensive pressure, you got to take away that kid's eyes. He makes incredible saves. I don't understand some of them. But again, we know how he plays. We've put 4. I think we put 4 on him each game in Colorado, so there's no reason we can't do that again. And let's keep this train rolling. If you're Western Michigan, I just want to check those scores real quick because I have the schedule open. When did we play them? It was earlier this year. And by this year, I mean 2023. Yeah, 4-1, 4-1. So yeah, I mean, we put up 8 goals on them on the weekend. Definitely a team that is able of hitting the repeat button and doing that again in the series for sure. Miami and Ohio. At Ohio. Or at Miami. Omaha and Miami at Miami. Jesus
You good?
Christ. No, dude, I have such baby brain from just hanging out with her and lack of sleep. Uh it feels like a meh series. Miami's playing a little bit better. They've got to figure out how to close out games. They've got to be able to play a full 60. And if you're in a situation where you get it to overtime or a shootout, you got to come up with a win. You got to get somebody else scoring goals besides Ryan Savage or Red Savage. I believe his older brother is Ryan, who is also on the team. So
Yes. I think this is going to be. It's a bigger series for Omaha, and
Omaha's got to try
it,
and keep pace with St. Cloud and Western if they want a chance. I mean, really, they do and they don't because they're in that situation where they're kind of almost locked into a home. They're trying to get home ice. It doesn't necessarily matter
right.
where they're at right now. It's going to be really hard to catch Denver, but that's what they're competing for is home ice and trying to keep pace with those two to get the best matchup possible.
But I think it's big for Omaha in, are you a contender or are you a pretender? And if they come out and they show that, like, they just beat the hell out of Miami, okay, that's what you're supposed to do with your record that you have right now. If they're close games and if they drop one, then it's like, okay, this is the Omaha team that, we've kind of thought about, that they're inconsistent. They're more consistent than not, but they still have some gaps. And so I think it's bigger for their confidence and then just for the standings and how the rest of the country might look at them, where it's like, okay, maybe they can win one or two. They can get in the tournament and win a game or two. I don't I could say see winning one. I don't necessarily see them getting to the Frozen Four, but if they get hot at the right time and you look at the teams that they're playing with right now, tied within the standings, they have potential to do it.
Yeah, I mean the standings only count NCHC games, so they're playing well in the conference, which they do
Hmm.
generally tend to do. But what hurts them, as we talked about earlier, is their not so tough non-conference schedule. It's why they have to play in so hard and why they have to rely on the conference tournament, which I have points
Hmm.
to make on the conference tournament when it comes to Omaha when we get to that episode in 3 weeks because they're about to get shit on. Uh, St. Cloud versus North Dakota in Grand Forks. A North Dakota team that once again will be without one of their better defensemen for at least the Friday game. Who knows how much of Saturday he'll play if he can keep his shit under control. That'll be the CBS Sports Network game of the week. And St. Cloud's rolling that two goalie tandem that they've got working. I believe Bassey did start both games last week. So it'll be interesting to see if they come out with Castor in game one or if they keep running Bassey. Because this is kind of the time of the season where you kind of want to. How do you play this out?
Hmm.
Do you run the hot hand, or do you keep alternating guys as you have been all season because it's been working all season? And it might be a
Yeah,
benefit in the tournament to have a fresh goalie every night.
I think it would be, and it's not like one goalie has experience in the tournament and the other one doesn't, because Castor had to play last year
Yeah,
with Rennick hurt or sick or whatever he was, and then Bassey playing at Colorado College, he has that experience as well. To me, this is actually kind of the most intriguing series because of St. Cloud. And how do they respond after being swept by UMD and going to a shootout both nights with Miami?
yeah.
What type of team are they? Are they going to come out and respond, um, especially against again, another shorthanded North Dakota team, which has basically been all
All
year for
year.
them? Do they respond and actually win the series like they should because they have the talent, or do they struggle again? Because if they struggle again, then my confidence level on them to actually do something later in the postseason isn't as high.
Yeah,
And it's kind of a sad free fall from where they were just 2 weeks ago.
we kind of saw that last season too. They played most of the year pretty well. They lose or they win home ice. They lose to Duluth in the first round of the NCHC playoffs. Their goalie's hurt. They struggle in their one game. I think against who did they play in the NCAA tournament? They lost in
I'm
the
trying to think.
regionals.
Did they play Northeastern?
No, Western played Northeastern.
Yeah, that's right.
I want to say they were in the same division as Michigan. So it was AIC or RIT.
Um,
Oh well, whatever.
let's
Doesn't
see.
really matter. But I mean, we kind of saw that last year where they struggled near the end of the season.
Quinnipiac.
Quinnipiac. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
But they struggled at the end of the season, and it didn't really help them going into the tournament.
No, it didn't, and I will say the UMD team that they played last year definitely very different. It was a team that I think could have won the whole thing. Just a bad bounce against Denver,
Yeah.
which it happens. But yeah, I think this is the determining series for St. Cloud and how their season is going to end up ultimately, because if they even split, I don't count that as a win. They have to sweep against this North Dakota team with how much talent they have. Um, if they split or get swept or even just, go to overtime a couple games, I don't think it looks it's not a good look for the team, and I'm losing a lot of confidence in that team. Um, if that's the case. But if they sweep, then okay, they're back on the horse. They were maybe being maybe being drug along by one foot in the spur and bouncing their head off the ground, but they were able to right the ship. They
Then
split
the
and or they get swept. I think all the wheels have come off the wagon, and it's not going to end up well for them.
no, and they're in a little bit of a fall since being number one. Holding on though, I think they're still in the top 10, which may or may not be surprising to some people. Uh,
It's
and
surprising to me.
and the last series this weekend is Minnesota Duluth at Denver. You can't count Minnesota Duluth out. I mean, they walked into Denver last year and handed Denver their first loss at Magnus Arena that they had suffered all year. Are they capable of doing that again? Yes. Will they? I don't think so. Uh, they just haven't been a consistent enough team. I don't know if it's goaltending or if it's overall play, but it is not a Duluth team that we're used to seeing. And this is generally the time of the year where you guys start turning it up, and even turning it up has not worked out well for you guys. So,
No, it hasn't, and
other
it's
than the sweep of St. Cloud,
again, and I've said it all year. We're a decently young team, but we don't have the scores. And Ben Steves has been great, but it's too much individualistic play, and the young kids are trying to play hero hockey, trying to make the highlight reel plays. They're not playing within the system, and the older guys, they're not necessarily scorers. Blake Biondi, before he ended up going out with his shoulder issues to get surgery, he wasn't having a very good year as far as scoring, and he was our leading scorer last year. The offense isn't there. They're not playing within their system. When they do, they actually look very good. Um, they didn't 2 Saturdays ago, and Western beat the absolute living hell out of them. Uh, so I think we can get a split out of it, but just with the firepower that Denver has, the depth, and how sound they play their game, I I wouldn't be surprised if we got swept. I just don't have that much confidence. I don't have that much confidence in this team. I think the only way we get into the actual NCAA tournament is by winning the NCHC tournament.
I mean, that is a route to take for sure. But yeah, I don't think it really looks good for Duluth at this point. But if you guys could steal a game, steal some points, I think the teams there in second place would be appreciative as they look to try to gain some ground on Denver with their schedule. So I think,
Yeah.
I mean, there's really not much else to do or to say. It's a long, crazy 2 weeks. I've got a baby to look after. Went through all the games. Went through all the games this weekend. Um, Pick your game poll will be up on Thursday on the page Twitter handle. I think that's it.
I think that's it too.
One thing left to say: goals on net or pucks on net. Good things happen, like goal horns and fight songs. It's been a while since I've said it, so I fucked it up. So let's try that again. Pucks on net. Good things happen, like goal horns and fight songs. Till the next episode. Again, enjoy the time with your loved ones. You never know what could happen. Once again, our thoughts and prayers out to the families affected by the Michigan State University tragedy that took place last night. And that's really all we have to say. So until the next one, we are out of here. So long.